It's 8:45 p.m. on Monday, the 13th of February 2017, and this is the Cats Whiskers Podcast live. Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of the Cats Whiskers Podcast. My name is Jono Bullard. I'm delighted to say tonight I am joined by Tina Taylor.
Hiya!
Aaron Lord.
Evening, JB.
And just in time to join the party, it was Antoine Marie-Jean.
All right, folks.
Yeah. Just made it in time, bless him. We're going to be talking about both Panthers games from the weekend, the victory over Sheffield and defeat in Cardiff. We'll have some of your tweets. We'll be looking at the other Elite League results and news, including Cardiff Devils' new signing. And then we'll be looking ahead to tomorrow night's Sheffield versus Panthers Challenge Cup semi-final second leg, where, of course, the Steelers lead 2-1 on aggregate. If you want to get in touch with us tonight, you can do via Twitter. It's at Cats Whiskers TV. We'd love to hear from you if you're listening in live tonight. So anything about the weekend or anything you want to respond to that we say, please do feel free to get in touch. However, we will start off with Saturday night, the Panthers taking on the Sheffield Steelers. In the first period, the Panthers raced to an incredible 4-0 lead. Brian McGrattan with 2, a short-handed blast from Stephen Schultz and Brad Moran. So 4-0 at the end of the first. Then the comeback started. In the second, Guillaume Desbiens and 2 from Andres Valdix made it 4-3. David Clark gave us some breathing space at the start of the third to make it 5-3 before Colton Fretter with a quite outstanding goal made it 5-4. But Panthers held on and got the victory. So, Tina, we'll start with you. A quite incredible first period, but a dreadful second.
Yeah, it was as you know, as easy as the first period was to watch. It was as hard to watch the second period. It was almost like we got 4 goals and then we thought, oh well, you know, that's it, they're not coming back from it. But you cannot afford to underestimate the Sheffield Steelers like that. I mean, I know it's a league game and, you know, our league position is, you know, pretty, wherever we end up, it's going to be pretty, I don't know, for want of a better word, it's kind of rudimentary. You know, it's irrelevant. You know, as long as we're in the top 8, then, you know, the league points is just, I don't know. I suppose it's momentum that we're after, really. But I mean, we were witness to some wonderful Panthers goals in that first period. I mean, that one from Stephen Schultz, a short-hander. I was lucky enough to be directly in line with watching the puck go in from Schultz's shot. He held it up brilliantly, and. Yeah, there's sort of the gang around me were sort of like, oh yeah, this is looking quite good as a penalty kill, and you know, you could just I could just see somebody flying into the zone yelling for the puck, and as soon as I saw who it was, I mean, I don't know if this is just overconfidence. As soon as I saw it was Schultz, I thought that's going in. I know that's going in. As soon as I saw the 14 staring at me, I thought that is definitely going in, and it did, and it was absolutely brilliant. And what about McGrattan? I mean, Brian McGrattan, what a guy! It's just what a guy. I think he really enjoyed himself in that first period.
Well, TT, I'm going to agree with you. To be honest, I'm going to jump in there if you don't mind, folks. And,
no, you go for it.
I've not seen a bullet like that, like Schultz that you were just talking about there, for a long time, and it just shows to me once again that if you can slap shot it first time, then not many netminders are going to stop a shot like that because they just don't have time to set themselves. And I think that's what surprised, you know, the Moose. I think he just didn't expect Schultzy to wallop it, and by God did he wallop it. But, you know, as Tina just said there, I think McGrattan, we saw some beautiful goals, as TT just said. Really, really nice goals. You know, McGrattan's first, lovely play by Farms. That line of Farmer, McGrattan, And obviously Lawrence, when he's fit, is really firing on all cylinders now. And I know that's something that Mr. Barmer's written about today. So if you do get a chance to read his article, then please do head over to the website. But McGrattan, and how nice was it to see him celebrate his second goal as well, which I thought was a really nicely taken goal. Didn't panic, saw that obviously, the Moose was struggling a little bit. There was defenders in the way, but he just took his time and slotted it away nicely. A really, really nice first period, and really got the crowd into it. And I think, as TT has said as well, second period, that dreadful Panthers second period. If we could get rid of second periods, I'd love to see where we might be in the league, because it's something that we really do struggle with. But it was just, I just really enjoyed the game, and I thought the Steelers scored some belter of a goal as well. Especially Fretters, as you mentioned, Jay. But no, I wasn't expecting that first period. I'll hold my hands up right now and say that I wasn't expecting to go in at 4-0 at all. But yeah, very, very pleasing first, and we'll just brush over the second, and I'll move on to Ant so he can have his say.
Don't forget that McGrattan could have had 3 or 4 had it not been for 2 very good stops from a goalie that I don't rate at all. And
I don't rate either. I really don't understand the fuss about him, because I think he's an absolutely terrible netminder.
Yeah, I mean, but he can pull out the odd decent save, and those 2 stops on McGrattan weren't. They were good stops. It's just that we made him look very, very silly for most of the first period. I would just touch on Clark's goal as well. I mean, Clark's much maligned for shooting with his eyes closed sometimes, I think. It's high wide, not very handsome. This one, just no fuss at all. He just placed it straight through, just kept it on target, down low, straight through Moose's 5-0. Thank you very much. Should have been over in the first period, I think, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers maybe thought it was. That's the problem.
Well, I think I messaged you guys and said we were going to lose 5-4, and then it almost came true.
Yeah, we've touched on Brian McGrattan, but he just continues to be in outstanding form, Tina.
Yeah, doesn't he just? What a guy. I mean, the second half of his season, he has come into his own. He's come over here, and I don't know whether he's come over here and played like he wanted to, or like he expected to. I mean, I don't know if this was his aim or not, but he's really showing a different side of him, which it's brilliant. We're reaping the benefits of that. Is he one of the guys? He's one of them that's on a 2-year deal, isn't it? It was revealed at the quiz night.
Yeah.
So if he can start next, like he's sort of got the second half of this season going, I think we're really in for a treat with next season's McGrattan. I'm really looking forward to it.
He's not doing his job though, according to some of the fan base.
I
think they want him skating around like a headless chicken, beating everybody senseless. But McGrattan's proving, like you've said, he's got more than just one string to his bow.
Absolutely, and I don't care that he's not fighting. He would have quite happily given Patrick Bordelot a fight if he'd have been willing. But Patrick Bordelot seemed intent on just giving it the bear hug until the linesman got involved last week. So he will he will get it, but he will go if needs be, but. He doesn't have to. If he's scoring points, then fine. I'm happy. You crack on, Big Ern.
And David Clark as well. He made it 3 goals in 3 starts since coming back from injury with the 5th. And Aaron, we said it last week. We've missed him, and he's come back. He's come back fresh, and he's hit the ground running.
Yeah, well, he's a goal scorer. I mean, you don't lose that. And he never will for as long as he carries on playing. I just imagine you get a little bit slower and maybe not get yourself into those positions as often. But David Clark is one of, if not the most natural British goal scorer for a very, very long time. And unfortunately, we've seen kind of what the future is going to be like when he does decide to hang up his skates, and it's tough because you can't replace somebody like that. And 3-3, like you just said, is proof of that. I thought it was a nice pass by Lacko for his goal, and it's nice to see that after such a long layoff that he has hit the ground running again. And I just hope that he can stay injury-free for the rest of the season. And let's see what happens in the summer. But, by God, because, like I say, you don't replace David Clark.
No, not at all. A controversial incident that happened early in the second period, which would have put Panthers 5-0 up. A Jeff Brown wraparound wasn't given by referee Tom Darnell. That probably would have killed the game at that point had it been allowed to stand. I actually messaged Tom Darnell earlier today asking him about it, and he was good enough to get back to me and explain. So this is what Tom Darnell had to say about not giving that goal. He said, I was not entirely convinced it even crossed the line. The goal judge said he didn't actually know. Either way, it wouldn't have been a goal because the puck was covered and dislodged by the stick of the attacking player. So the play was dead before the puck was anywhere near to crossing the line. Unknown rule. Play is dead when the referee determines it's dead, not when the whistle is blown. So I want to thank Tom Darnell very, very much for getting back to me and also putting clarity on that decision. So, Ant, do you think that's fair enough now we've had some clarification from the referee?
It's good of him to reply to you, like you said. At the time, I was convinced it was a goal. You see from the replay now on the highlights, it's like he's not got the best view of it. And yeah, it does to me like he's unfortunately made the right call.
Yeah. Anybody disagree with that at all?
No, I wouldn't. No.
No, and I just think it's good of Darns to obviously reply to your question, and it does add a little bit of clarity, doesn't it?
Darns, blimey.
He's getting chummy with referees.
Yes, it was very good of him to get back to us, and I think having watched it on the replay, I mean, obviously I sit in block 13, so I had no idea whether it had crossed the line or not. My wife, who was in block 1, she said she thought it was in, and she's a Steelers fan. But I think even the replay is inconclusive because you don't really see the cross the line. However, 3 words: goal line technology. And that's all I'm going to say. I had a listen to Paul Thompson, and he said in his post-game interview that Panthers didn't offer much in the second or third periods. Is that fair enough, Aaron?
I suppose in a way, but did they have to? I mean, I haven't listened to his post-game interview, I'll be honest, so I don't know how he says that. Has he said it in a way that he's disappointed that they didn't come and offer more in the second?
No, I think it was more
just a fact
that they came back into it, and he was basically said that he didn't feel that the Panthers offered much in the second, which I would totally agree with. Yeah. But I think the third is probably a bit unfair because I thought the third was quite even.
Yeah, we've touched on the second period briefly, haven't we, from a Panthers point of view, and you have to give credit to the Steelers because very easy, and we've had games ourselves where at 4-0 after the first 20, you kind of, the game's over, and I think maybe Panthers might have been a little bit guilty of that, but you give credit to the Steelers for coming back into the second and at least making a game of it, but. Really, at the end of the day, we got the 2 points in regulation, which is massive, and that's all that kind of matters at the day, doesn't it, really? So, unfortunately, from a Steelers point of view, you'd potentially say one bad period has had done damage to their title race at the end of the Saturday night, but it takes, doesn't it, sometimes in hockey. You can have one bad period and you do end up losing the game, which I think is possibly a fair, sort of assumption of what happened on Saturday night.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask you all to be honest. Who amongst us thought we would lose at the end of the second period?
Yep.
I think at the time I thought it might go to OT.
Yeah,
I thought we'd lose at the end of the first.
I must admit,
hang on. You're supposed to be one of the more positive ones on this podcast. I'm so Marijan, you disappoint me.
I said to Adam Reddish, who sits next to me, at the end of the first, I said the next goal is massive because I said, we score it, then it is game over at 5-0. I said if they score it, they're going to think they can get back into it. And of course they scored it, they got those other 2 goals. And the second was a horrendous defensive error, absolutely awful. The third was quite well worked out in front, and Valdix couldn't miss. And then their 4th goal in the third period, I thought was outstanding. Watching it again on the replay, the way he just does that shoulder drop and fake to take out Steve Lee, and then fires it into the top roof. I doubt there's any netminder in the world who would have stopped that shot.
I think that's possible. I agree with you there, JB. Sorry to just jump in, but I think maybe you have to look at it and you have to hold your hands up and say there were just some good goals. Yes, with the error by Stevie Lee is a shocker, and nobody knows that more than Stevie Lee, I imagine. But the next 2 for me are just goals that you have to kind of go, bloody hell, they are good goals. And the Steelers have it in their locker to do that, and you take the positives that we got the goal through Clarkey that kind of just gave us that little bit of breathing space, and the work that we did in the first 20 minutes kind of made sure that we did get the win in the end.
Okay, well, we will leave Saturday night there. So a great Saturday night with Panthers beating the Steelers, as it always is, and move on to Sunday, which wasn't so great. Panthers travelling to Ice Arena, Wales to take on the Cardiff Devils. And for the second Panthers-Devils game on the bounce at Ice Arena, Wales, the Cardiff Devils shut out the Panthers 3-0. All goals coming in the first period through Joey Haddad, Lane Ulmer and Mark Richardson. No further scoring in the second or third. So, game over after 12 minutes and 4 seconds when Mark Richardson scored his. Were the team saving themselves for Tuesday and the Challenge Cup, Tina?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know I'm sort of jumping ahead a little bit here, but I think it was kind of a statement of intent, resting Mika Weekman, if I'm honest. When I saw that Passel was starting and Green was on the bench backing up, I thought, well, it's probably about right. It's definitely not the wrong thing to do, given that the league's done and we've got a competition to play for that. We are still in, albeit there's we've got a deficit to try and claw back up at Sheffield, but we're still in it. So resting your number one netminder, it was probably not. It was probably a smart thing to do. In a game that it's not that it means nothing to us. It's just that I think it means less to us than the cup, because we've actually still got something to go for there. But I mean, I say to a certain extent, I would say yes, they probably were saving themselves for Tuesday. What didn't help is, and I genuinely did not notice this, and I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, losing Logan McMillan so early in the game, and the defence having to, sort of just kind of put up with that. Lindhagen was double shifting. I saw him on defence and as a forward pretty much the whole game. So I think we're lucky that he's not injured now. So we need to look after that man. We really, really need to look after that man. So yes, I think it's probably not. It's probably not too much of a stretch to say that we're trying to save a bit of gas in the tank for Tuesday. However, I mean, it was really weird because it was a little bit like the previous night where the Steelers had the first, a nightmare first period. We had a nightmare first period in Cardiff, only we didn't have the comeback in us. So I don't mind. I think scoring the 3 in that first period and then, not conceding any further was a little bit annoying. I would rather have, if we were going to concede, I'd have preferred to have seen a bit of a spread, because it just felt like it just felt sort of compounded because all the goals came early on in the first period, early on in the game. So probably a little bit of, let's hold back a little bit here, guys. There's nothing really for us here. Let's look to Tuesday. I mean, I know teams say we'll take it one game at a time. I think in this case they were probably right to sort of skip ahead a little bit.
I just want to draw your attention. I don't know if any of you saw it, but Steelers put a tweet out basically saying Panthers start their backup in Cardiff. They're 3-0 down. Contentious, would you say, Aaron?
I imagine only one person knows how that tweet was sent, but no, I did see it. And do you know what? That's kind of their problem in a way. I mean, Packle, he's an import netty that we've had since the beginning of the season. He has talent. He's very raw and very young,
and he's won in Cardiff as well. It has to be pointed out.
He has victories under his belt. Do you know what? If they were going to be that upset about kind of a backup netminder starting in another game, then really they should have won their game the previous night, because then they might not have been as aggrieved. But I mean, whatever. Really, that's their problem. We have a choice. Corey Nielsen has a decision to make, and he has a responsibility to manage his roster and his squad like he chooses. Like I say, it's not like he's putting in a 17 netminder that he's got, via the Lions or something like that. It's well within the rights. It's his choice. So really, I'm afraid, Sheffield Steelers, if you're annoyed at that, then like I say, you should have won the previous night, and it would have relieved a little bit of pressure on yourselves.
Yeah. And Passel, of course, starting in place of Wheatman. Do you think that was the right decision?
Bearing in mind we've only got the cups to play for now, yes, for me. And I don't understand why Steelers were so whingy about it when Passel's played against them a couple of times already this season as well. So whoop-de-doo. And like you say, he's already pulled a wins under his belt. I just wanted to touch on the game itself as well. I've just gone back over the fixtures, and obviously we beat them 8-0 in their place, and they've now beaten us 8-0 over 2 games. So maybe the next game in the Devils Stadium might be a bit more even.
Well, I think unless we get them in the playoffs, which I think is unlikely, that is it there for the season. There, don't think we've got any more games.
We could play them in the cup final if miracles happen.
Oh, true. Shows how much attention I'm paying this evening. McMillan, of course, you mentioned his injury earlier, Tina, and Dan Spang also missed some shifts, which put the defence very short. I'm going to ask you all this. Is the injury crisis now getting beyond a joke?
I think it got beyond a joke way before last night. I think the amount of times that we have talked about it, I think we are now in a position where if we didn't laugh, we'd cry. It's that sort of old adage. I don't understand it. Nobody seems to. Well, no, that is a lie. Other teams do suffer with injuries like we do, but not as consistently as we do. And surely something's got to be done. Surely we can't just be, as fans, sitting here going, yeah, there's something wrong here, the amount of injuries the Nottingham Panthers are incurring. and the Nottingham Panthers organisation not being aware of it and not trying to do something about it. If they're not trying to do something about it, then for some reason they think the strength and conditioning programme is adequate, which it isn't. There's let's take out Jeff Dimmon's latest injury, because you can't legislate for that. But there seems to be a lot of stretches and strains, things that you kind of feel like are preventable in professional sport. So I think it's already. I think it's been a joke for too long now.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello. Sorry, it's been up and down the last couple of minutes, so I've just missed most of Tina's. Sorry, so just move on.
All right, Aaron.
Well, lucky for me, I did hear what Tina said. So, for me, it is an area of our organisation that needs serious review at the end of the season. Everybody involved needs to sit down, take emotions out of the equation and ask some serious questions of whether we have the right programme, sing levels, staff members to achieve the most that we can in that area. Because, it's 3 seasons now, really. And you could say, even seasons before, kind of when, we won the league, etc., that we have suffered with our good fair share of injuries. So for me, it certainly needs reviewing. And like I say, I just think everybody's got to sit down, maybe a month after the season has finished, so emotions are out of it, and ask that one question: have we got the best structure to achieve the best that we can in that area? Now, I would say from what I know that we haven't, but look, we're not privy to everything that is going on in the club. So, it's just kind of our views and a guess at that kind of area. But either that or somebody needs to stop breaking mirrors, because we don't have the most of luck in that area as well. But I think there is more that we can do, as we've discussed on many a podcast.
I just wanted to touch. We've talked about getting replacements in now, and I think we do definitely need them for the running. But do you guys think, playing devil's advocate, does it depend on Tuesday night's result? If we qualify for the final, I personally think there's a bigger chance we'll get a replacement in than if we don't.
Yeah, but they're not leaving. They're not leaving themselves any time. The deadline's on the 15th.
Quite sad.
The deadline's
I was just
on
going to say. Yeah, sorry, JB, you carry on.
I say the deadline's on the 15th of February. So if there's no one lined up now, then there ain't anyone coming in, regardless of whether we win tomorrow or not.
Crank up the fax machine. We can get it done in time.
The famous fax machine.
I think that's a good point, though, that you make, JB, and I'd back that up in the sense of I would hope that we either know now whether we are going to get anybody else in or we don't. I hope we haven't really pinned everything on one game the day before the signing deadline, because that's, I would say, it's not thinking ahead. You've got to think of the playoff that is, still a couple of months away. There is still tough games to play, so we can't be surely thinking, right, if we get through to the final of the Challenge Cup, then let's get on the old, dog and bone and test out a few of our contacts. We either know now whether we're going to sign a replacement or not, surely.
Yeah, I'd agree. Okay. A quick word about Cardiff. They now find themselves 3 points clear at the top after on Friday night finding themselves off the top after Belfast won. They've got a massive doubleheader coming up in Belfast this coming weekend. And Tina, they are now in the box seat, and this weekend is huge for both the Devils and the Giants.
Yes, it is. After all the games that were sort of finishing up last night. I was sort of chatting to Adam about it, and we had a look at the fixtures, and I couldn't remember whether Cardiff had their double header in Belfast or not. And we had, obviously there it was staring at us, Friday and Saturday, double header over in Belfast. That's massive. This weekend for the top two cannot be underrated. It's pivotal. You can't downplay it. You cannot downplay it. This is the top two teams who have got breathing space between themselves and the Steelers, and they are. The points are ridiculously valuable. Looking at the table as it stands, there's only 3 points, but obviously Cardiff have got a game in hand over Belfast, so they could potentially be 5 points ahead. But Belfast cannot afford to let that happen. They can't afford to let those points slip away from them. They're at home, so automatically you've got to think that they've got the advantage. It's going into this weekend. It's probably advantage Belfast, and if they don't get anything out of it, they are going to see a bit of a gap open up. I mean, I know the Cardiff have had that gap. They've had an absolutely monumental gap that has just been eaten away at with their run of losses that they had, but. At this end of the season, this is pressure on. This really is pressure on.
Guys, Ant and Aaron, I'll ask you this: if Cardiff win both games in Belfast, is it their title?
I think it's their title if they split the series. To be honest, that's how I said. What, the 3 points clear at the moment with a game in hand.
Yeah. Aaron,
I think 2 points will do them.
Yeah. Aaron?
I would say that if they got 4 points from that, then it's pretty much game, set and match, just purely because of the mental aspect of it and the emotion that Belfast would have put into 2 games, and to get nothing out of it, they you can imagine how kind of mentally draining and distraught that would make you. But then on the other hand, if it was to be the other way around, then it's kind of you could say it's game on, and the Giants would have the momentum. So as a team, it's massive, it's pivotal. It would be really interesting to see kind of how Cardiff approach that weekend for me, because like Ant says, if they split the series, I think they'll take that, especially with the game in hand as well. So it's really kind of thingy or bust, I would say, for Belfast. Really, they've got to put it all out there, haven't they? Because if not, then it's game, set, match, Devils for me.
Thingy or bust. There we go.
Well, I edited myself. There might be kids listening. It's after the watershed, but I'm not that type of person.
We'll move on to some of the tweets that we've had from some of you over the weekend. We asked what you thought of the weekend. Matthew Bostock, he says, just not good enough, cheating the fans and season ticket holders. So what are your thoughts on what Matthew's put, Tina?
I think we have this a lot, don't we? Really, I mean, we have discussions in ourselves. I think there's a lot of emotion when we're losing games like we did on Sunday. But a sort of very equalising tweet that I saw from our friend David Spence. He said, he basically doesn't really care what results we get in the league because we're not in the league. We're not in the title run, so what does it really matter? But I can see where Matthew is wrong, because we come back to it a lot. We talk about it a lot. A team of our size, stature, and resources should be performing week in, week out, regardless. We should be up there. We really should. The effort that the fans are putting in is often. And it's often seen, perceived to not be matched by the effort level on the ice and within the Panthers organisation. We're seeing a general upturn in attendances, and that that translates to cash money. which doesn't appear to be being spent on the on-ice product. And basically, that's what we're all here to see. That's what we pay our money for. Really, we don't really care what happens. Well, we do care what happens in the back office because it's part and parcel of the organisation. But I think we do want to see what we put in as fans being represented within the team on the ice.
Okay, Andy Haywood, our erstwhile colleague, couldn't make it tonight. He put pretty much as I'd expected with regards to the results this weekend. And then an interesting one that we have from Des O'Dark, who gets in touch with us quite often. He says, we got the right win and the right loss this weekend. Very happy with that. Now, Aaron, were you happy with that?
I was very happy with. Obviously, look, I think I'm not happy about losing games, and I don't want my club to lose games. But I'd also like to think of myself as a realist and understand the position that we are in right now. And did I expect us to win in Cardiff? No, I didn't. Did I expect us to win against Sheffield? I thought it would go to OT and then it would be anybody's game. I can only imagine that, they're happy. If we were going to win one game, then it would be at home against the Steelers. I can only imagine that's kind of what their thinking is. Nobody should be happy about losing games, but there still has to be, it's a little bit like Tina says about what Spence kind of says. And I think we just need to be a little bit realistic at times. And by all means, people, like I say, I'm not happy at losing, and people should be upset about the fact that maybe we didn't score, and again we've lost to the top team. But I think sometimes you just have to realise that this season we aren't as good as Cardiff, and that is what it is, and that's why they're in number one, and that's why we're currently in number 5 in the league. And I think the Steelers, on our day, we are more closer to them, and that's kind of just how I think sometimes you've got to look at it. But I'm never happy with a loss, so I'm a little bit different on that kind of view. But if you say to me, you're either going to win on Saturday or you're going to win on Sunday, then obviously I went to the game on Saturday. It's at home. It's against our nearest and dearest rivals. Then yes, I would take that win. But I'd still like to bloody win on the Sunday.
Okay. We shall move on to the other Elite League results and news. And first news of a new signing for the Cardiff Devils. Forward Denny Kearney from HC Bolzano in Italy. He's played 50 games there this season in the EIHL with 11 goals, 26 assists for 37 points and 39 penalty minutes. And a plus-minus of plus 15. So, Ant, what do you make of this signing for the Devils?
Looks quite handy, doesn't he? And it's just another touch to prove, it gives them a bit of help down the line. They've not got any injuries, have they? So
Morissette.
Just Morissette.
Yeah.
So I mean, how quick was that coming in to replace him? So that's an organisation that wants to do everything it can to win. I'd just love to be in their position.
Yeah. Any other feelings on that signing?
No, apart from it looks like a tidy signing. It seems to be shoring up. The Devils are just trying to tool up for the last big push. If a guy like that who can score, a few points is available, you're not going to say no, especially while somebody like Morissette's out.
Something else that also happened today, I don't know if anybody saw, but Edinburgh was voted the best hockey city in the UK. Thoughts on that, Aaron? I mean, I love Edinburgh, love the place.
I like the city. I'm not a massive fan of the rink, if I'm totally honest. It's
cold.
It's cold. It's wooden seats. Yes, it's old school, if you'd like to call it, but it's not in my top 5. Put it that way. And well, I don't really know what to say about it being voted number one, to be honest. A bit of a strange one, but maybe they take into consideration like the city and what that has to offer. Because
I love going. I love the rink, even though it's cold and old, but it's got character. I love the city. It's one of my favourite cities in the entire world. And I mean, I had my stag weekend in Edinburgh. I just love the place. So from that point of view, I can see why it was probably chosen if it was on the city as a whole, rather than just the rink and such.
Yeah, my question would be: you ask 50 ice hockey that have played in the Elite League, and I would say that maybe not even more than 3 players would say Edinburgh as number one place. So, and I think that should tell you something.
Okay. We'll move on to the results from the weekend. On Friday night, the Belfast Giants moved temporarily to the top of the Elite League with a 6-3 home victory over the Dundee Stars. On Saturday, the Manchester Storm with a great 7-3 victory against the Fife Flyers. Devils taking on the Blaze at the Sky Dome and winning 6-3. And the Braehead Clan with a 7-5 victory over the Edinburgh Capitals. And with our 5-4 victory, there were goals aplenty on Saturday night in the Elite League. On Sunday, Clan completed a 4-point weekend with a 4-2 victory over the Coventry Blaze. The Edinburgh Capitals were shut out at home by the Sheffield Steelers 3-0. An incredible game at Kirkcaldy as Fife Flyers beat the Belfast Giants 9-5, which stunted the Giants' charge towards the top. And of course, Cardiff now 3 points ahead. And the Dundee Stars came back from their defeat on Friday with a 4-2 victory over the Manchester Storm. So that means now that Cardiff are 3 points clear at the top of the Elite League from Belfast, with the Sheffield Steelers a further 5 points back in third place. And we've talked about Cardiff, and Belfast being the huge game this weekend. Can any of you see the Steelers still having a say, or actually getting up there and winning it?
No.
Yes.
Okay, go on, Ant. Expand on that.
Sorry, were you going to say more, Aaron? Or
I say no is because I can't see both Cardiff and Belfast screwing up. If it was just one team that they had to rely on, potentially, but I can't see both the Devils and the Giants screwing their positions up personally.
Unfortunately, I can see Sheffield going on a run. And I've mentioned it before. They've got championship mentality. When they know they can win when they really, really need to. And we've seen it from Devils several times over the years. They're always the bridesmaids. And Giants have been. I'm still not overly fussed by this Belfast team. I know I'm going on the only times they've seen. They've played us and they've beaten us, but they've not looked fantastic. And getting pumped like that at Fife, it's got to ask questions. You've got to ask questions of your goalie, and you've got to ask questions of your defence. And unfortunately, Tomo's he's been there and done that. They've got a lot of players that have done that. I think it depends how this weekend goes. I think Sheffield will want a split series, if I'm honest.
Okay. Tina, anything to add?
No, I don't think so. I know. I can see Sheffield going on a bit of a run. I can see them having a say on what happens. And off the top of my head, I don't quite know who's got left to play who, but I know like all of us Earharts have got games to play against each other. I think the Steelers will have a say on where it goes, but in terms of actually getting back into it, I think it's a big ask. I really do think it's a big ask. Yeah, if it was one team that were catching, as has already been said, but both of them, I can't see it. Can't see it at all.
Okay. Down at the bottom, just 6 points now separate the Blaze in 8th place and the Edinburgh Capitals at the bottom, with Dundee Stars in between there. And we talk about this most weeks now, but that race for that 8th playoff spot is I think is gonna go right down to the wire. Anyone?
Yes, interesting. Isn't it? Yes, yeah. I mean, I was being polite because I was the last person to talk last time, and I thought I'll give somebody else a go because once I get going, you have to hold yourself back to tell me to stop talking. But anyway, yes, it is. It does look incredibly tight. I think. I mean, obviously, there's the disparity of how many games everybody has played. I mean, in terms of the current bottom 3, that's the same for the current bottom 3 in my little table. If you bring Dundee and Edinburgh up to 42 games, Stars have got a maximum potential points of 35. The Capitals and the Blaze have got a maximum available points of 33. That's that is sort of tight trousers time for the for those teams really. I don't think it's a position that the Panthers, if we're honest, and the Coventry Blaze expected to find themselves in. I think they expected to be challenging a little higher up than that. I mean, I know they have had, a few. They've had a couple of seasons where they have performed. Well, I say not necessarily performed below expectations, but finished in the league below where they expected to be. But I think this is worrying even by their standards.
Okay. And Braehead moving to 4th place above the Panthers after a 4-point weekend. And we often mentioned how Braehead appeared to be underperforming, but they had a win in midweek last week, and now they find themselves with 6 points from 6 and into 4th place.
Momentum means everything.
Fair enough. We'll leave that there then. We'll move on to tomorrow night. The Steelers and the Panthers lock horns again, this time at Sheffield Arena in the second leg of the Challenge Cup semi-final. The Steelers lead 2-1 on aggregate from the first leg. Face-off at Sheffield Arena is 7:30 p.m. No webcast. Now, I was doing a bit of research earlier today, and I looked at Panthers' 2-legged game records in the Elite League era. So out of 33 2-legged ties, the Panthers have 27 wins and 6 losses. So that's since 2003-04 at the start of the Elite League. So 27 wins from 33 ties. Does that give us hope?
It's a fairly astounding record, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the only thing that I would say is anything can happen. You and I were there in our Sheffield, Jono, and we would never in our wildest dreams have seen that coming. It could still go either way. We've got that record. Corey Nielsen is very, very good at tooling up a team for a short series, as we know. We've won this cup so many times, but we're still playing the Steelers and we're in their barn. So you even weighing up that good record, it's still precarious. That 1-goal lead means practically nothing, I think.
Of course, this is a barn where the last time we played there on Boxing Day, we won 3-2. So, Ant, does that give us hope as well?
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't. You know what? I don't know, because I don't know which Panthers team is going to turn up. I think if the Panthers turn up and play their best, then we are better than Sheffield. We've certainly got a better goalie than Sheffield. Apart from 1 or 2 players, there's not many, that I'd actually take from Sheffield and put in our team if they're performing like we know they can perform. I just don't know, because we are, consistently inconsistent.
Aaron?
Well, I have hope, to be honest, and I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'm going to say that we will make it to Ice Arena Wales. I think the fact that we should be going into this game already out of the tie completely is a factor. I think the fact that it is just one goal is a factor. I think the confidence that we have, like Ant says, that we know we can beat Sheffield recently, obviously, but also in their barn, like you said, on Boxing Day, and we were there and we played very well that day. The record that you just mentioned, yes, stats are always there to change, and obviously a lot of people will say, well, that probably means we're due to extend that column, but I think we're going to win. I think we'll progress. Now, come the next podcast, I might have egg on my face, but I just think we'll go in there and we'll get the job done. I think the pressure is all on Sheffield, and I think that, and I mean all on Sheffield. It's not. Yes, it's close, but the pressure's on because they should have wrapped this tie up in the first leg. We shouldn't even be going there with any chance at all, and I think that might come back and bite them because I think that is a big factor, and I think Corey has it in him to get the team up for these one final games, as we've seen, and maybe the fact that the stats that you pointed out kind of points to that as well. But
I also looked at it in the Corey Nielsen's coaching era, and that goes to 25 wins and 3 losses from 28 ties. So,
well, when people criticise our league record, and that's fair. That's fair enough. And yes, criticism needs to be said there. But you also have to look at you can't, let's call a spade a spade. It's poor. It's poor. But you also have to look at the other side and the cups. And
that's
you have
astounding.
Exactly. So, yin yang, right and wrong. When we're talking about a cup, which this is, and as has been mentioned before, it is a cup that we hold very dear and think of a hell of a lot. Corey has the ability, and the teams and the players of the past have had the ability to step up for these games. So, do you know what? Sometimes we get accused of sitting on the fence and kind of playing it all safe. I'm not doing that. We will be at Ice Arena Wales.
And you know what?
Before you move on, sorry, just one thing that does me slightly is this injury to Logan McMillan. Because if he is injured, obviously we don't have Jeff Dimon back. That does mean that Eric Lindhagen is going to have to go back on defence, and that then disrupts quite possibly our most prolific and best performing line over the last few weeks. You've got to find a new third man for Big Ern and Farmer. I mean, the two of them can seem to be able to perform no matter what, but you've got some mixing the lines to do, and I'd prefer not to have to do that. So I think that's possibly the only variable for me.
And I was going to say, Aaron, I agree with you. I think we will be at Ice Arena Wales because we just seem to have this knack of pulling it out the bag when it really matters in a big game like this is. Mick Vietman will be in net, and we all know how he performs in these sort of situations, as he did last year. And yeah, I think we will be there. However, what Tina says is incredibly valid. If we're missing Logan McMillan, we don't know the situation with Dan Spang. That could put a serious dent in our roster. If we're missing those two, then it's going to be a hell of a struggle because the defence will be so light.
Oh, if we miss those two, I can guarantee I will have egg on my face. Because that's just not. But I don't know we don't really know what the injuries are, do we, to McMillan or Spang? And I didn't watch the webcast on Sunday, so I don't have any idea.
Well, I did watch the webcast, and I didn't even I saw nothing that gave me any cause to think that anybody was injured.
Fair enough. So
I mean, it's a flip of a coin, isn't it, really? But what I would say is the motivation is there, really, for this team to, you know, it gets slated, and it has been slated at times for the way we've performed in league games, and rightly so at times. But here's your opportunity to get the club into another final and one game away from winning a trophy. So there's your motivation in a way, and that's where you'll see whether this club, players, staff want to go and win some of the trophies that are still left for us. You'll find that out tomorrow night.
Yeah. And I think on that note, we shall leave it there. So, thank you very much to Antoine Marie-Jean.
You're welcome. Take it easy, people. Come on, Panthers tomorrow. Prove me wrong.
Thank you to Tina.
TTFN.
And thank you very much to Aaron Lord.
Thank you very much, JB.
Okay. And also thank you very much to you for listening. We will be back next time on the Cat's Whiskers podcast.